What is up, my lovelies? Welcome or welcome back to the channel. I am Rocky, and today I am here with a brand new legacy challenge. I want to give a special shout out to my community for encouraging and reminding me to finish this legacy. You guys are very much appreciated. This is the Brew and Bloom Legacy Challenge, and it has been heavily inspired by Melixa's Boba Tea Tales legacy. Hers is all about boba, and mine is all about, you guessed it, coffee. Every generation is inspired by a unique coffee drink, rich in flavor, full of drama, and simmering with personality. Please use hashtag Brew and Bloom Legacy or simply simulate it if you decide to document your stories. Just a quick note here that I did write this challenge on Google Docs, and this is the original document, so you will not be able to make any changes. What you can do is go to File, Download, and you can download it as a Microsoft Word or a PDF document, and then that way you can make your changes in your own Microsoft Word program or in Google Docs. Anyone is fine, you just cannot write on the original document. So yes, I want to quickly go over some of the rules, how different things work, and maybe read a few of the pre-made storylines for like 2 generations. I don't want to bore you too much, with my talking, but how it works. So of course, play on any lifespan that you would like, but at some point you're gonna have to let your Sims pass away. So if you like to disable your aging, that's totally fine as well. So you could play on long lifespan, short, regular, it's up to you. But at some point, you gotta let them go, babes. I'm so sorry. Play through 10 generations, each based off a coffee type with its own backstory, traits, aspirations, and goals, of course. Storylines are pre-written, but feel free to play and create your own story. So I have this idea when I write my legacies. Of course, I have different rules and pre-made storylines, but at the end of the day, I want people to have fun with my legacy, so I don't care too much about the rules. I guess what I'm saying is feel free to bend some rules if they don't fit to your playstyle or things like that. For every generation, we're going to use a number generator to decide how many children your sim will have, and it's going to be 1 through 5. I have the number generator linked in the document, so all you have to do is click on it and go to the number generator. I want to mention, if your sim dies during the first gen before they have a child, you need to start over. Use the coin flip for additional challenges to have more fun and drama. I will talk about this a little bit more, but again, this link is also embedded into the document, so you can click on it. It will take you to a Google coin flip. Use the syrup spinner for 1 tray in each generation to keep things fresh and unpredictable while keeping the 2 required core traits. So I'm gonna piggyback on the coin flip and the syrup spinner in just a minute. So as an optional side note, follow the detailed goals for skills, careers, relationships, and lifestyles to fully brew and bloom your sim family. So these pre-made storylines, I most likely will be like following them if I do decide to play. So these are here if you want to use those. Again, if you want to kind of create your own story based off the pre-made stories that I've created, feel free. Roleplay and document your journey as much or as little as you want. Screenshots, storytelling, and video content is all encouraged. I would love to see your Sims, hear about your storylines, your families, how messy or how wholesome they are. I would love to. Mods for storytelling are allowed and encouraged. I do play with a heavily modded game, so mods is just like a thing that is like intertwined in my gameplay, but of course you do not have to. If console players do decide to try out this challenge, of course, play with what you have, but if you do like mods, go ahead and use them for realistic storytelling like relationship and pregnancy overhaul or healthcare redux, basemental, however you want to play. And the last rule I have set is that every heir should pass down an heirloom, so like a special coffee recipe, a favorite item. Now in-game Sims can pass down knowledge and traits, whatever you want that heirloom to be. Before we talk about trait and syrup rules, I want to go to what you will need for this challenge. Unfortunately, this challenge is pack heavy. I don't have a base game version, but if you would like, let me know and I can try to work on that. But right now, these are the packs that I've used to shape the format of the legacy. Of course, you can substitute different things, you can get creative, you can still play with minimum packs, because like I said, the storylines are pre-written, so you can shape it around what you have, the resources that you have. Now, I want to talk about the trait in the syrup rules. I have two main traits set for you in this legacy, but one random trait you will choose from the syrup spinner, and I want to talk about that really quickly. So on the left hand side, I have everything nice and neat for you to click on. Down here we have the syrup spinner trait. Now this is the chart that I have set up, and I chose 10 separate syrup flavors for this challenge. So we have vanilla, caramel, hazelnut, cinnamon, pumpkin spice, peppermint, mocha, gingerbread, maple, and almond. This is the flavor vibe. So this will not change any traits or anything. I have this set because when I was writing and choosing the different types of syrup flavors, I just felt like, in my opinion, each flavor has a vibe. So as an example, vanilla gives me original, classic, sweet, balanced, right? That's just the vibe that it gives off, right? Of course, we don't have these in the game. You can't choose these. But when you use the syrup spinner to choose a trait, you will have to pick one from this chart. Now, how does this work? If I go back, I go to Wheel of Names. I already have a pre-made spinner made for you with all of the syrup flavors. So if we spin, yay, we got almond, right? So that's the syrup flavor that will determine which trait that we choose. Please do not remove any of the names, because if anybody decides to play this, you will all be using the same spinner. So just close out. So we got almond, great. So if we go back to our chart and we go look at almond at the bottom, we will choose a trait from over here in the chart. So maybe bookworm, creative, loner, any one of those will do. So that's what we're using the syrup spinner for. Now, if your sim rolls a trait that they already have, or it doesn't fit the other traits, they might be clashing, or you just don't like the vibe of the traits, spin again until you get a new trait, the one that you like or you think fits the best, and then you choose that one. Again, do not remove the syrup flavor once the winner is chosen. So that is the syrup spinner. And then we also have what I call a coin flip. So let me explain that a little bit too. Let me go to Generation 1 Espresso and kind of read what I have. I gave it the quote, bold, bitter, brilliant, and built from nothing. You grew up with a single mom who loved you, but life never gave her the space to show it. She was always running from one job to the next, exhausted, underpaid, and stretched too thin to be anything more than a shadow passing through your childhood home. With no affection, no safety net, absolutely no handouts, you learned early that the only person you could rely on was yourself. Life toughened you fast, but it also lit a fire in you to escape the cycle you were born into. You don't have time for distractions. Love, relationships, children, those are luxuries for people who can't afford to slow down. You've got bigger plans, and nothing, not even your own feelings, is going to get in your way. Period. That is Generation 1 Espresso. Now, for each gen, I do have a color palette and an aesthetic. So if you are a type that likes to do like storyboards and things like this, I think you will really like this. So the color palette that I have for Generation 1 is deep browns, blacks, and dark reds. That's the aesthetic that's the color palette I think that it gives. And I also think that this gen gives off industrial urban aesthetic. So of course you can agree to disagree. And again, if you don't really like this, you feel like it's a different vibe or color palette, feel free to change them. But that's what I have set. Of course, you have your two traits that's chosen, and then you will use the syrup spinner to choose your last trait. I also have aspiration, career, and skill set, a list of goals to complete, and then I have what we call coin flips. So that's where the coin flip link comes in handy. So as you're playing throughout your heir's life, you can stop every so often if you would like and do one of these coin flips if you want to add extra gameplay or drama to the storyline. These are additional. Again, you don't have to use these, but I think they're pretty cool to use. So for an example, maybe you're playing with heir number 2 for Generation 2, right? And you start as a teen and they age up to a young adult. They live a little bit. You could do a coin flip for early struggle. If you get heads, lone wolf. You handle everything yourself and refuse help even when you're drowning. If you flip tails, a mentor can swoop in and give you life structure, but now you low-key rely on them for everything, right? So these are like additional like pivots into the storyline that you could use to make it more interesting. Again, these are additional. I have some set up in different stages. Like, for an example, we have early, struggle, first love, ambitious rise, and heir's trait. But again, they'll look a little different with each generation. We're going to move on to generation 2, and this will be the last one that I read you because I don't want to be talking to you for, 40 minutes. I don't want to make it too boring. But generation 2 is vanilla latte. Life should look as sweet as I feel. You grew up watching your parents hustle for success, late nights, unlimited cups of coffee, endless ambition, which left little room for you. Although you admired their hard work, you promised yourself life would be easier, prettier, and perfectly aesthetic. Instead of hard work, you live for comfort and validation in the form of likes and followers, because who else will love you? On camera, you're the definition of that sim. Confident, charming, and effortlessly stylish. Off camera, you're exhausted, craving the connection your fabricated world can't give you. But when your followers adore you and your house sparkles in every thumbnail, it's hard to tell what's real anymore. So that's generation 2, and this has the same setup as generation 1, and then we have different coin flips. In this situation, we have picture perfect love, social spotlight, and friendship challenges. So I feel like this was a fun little addition to add. And yes, we have 10 generations, starting with espresso, vanilla latte, we have mocha, cold brew, caramel macchiato, flat white, iced coffee, pumpkin spice latte, dirty chai, and decaf to end it off. So yes, that is the Brew and Bloom Legacy Challenge. I do hope that you give it a chance or read through it. If you have made it this far in the video, please drop a coffee emoji down below. And this is where I'm going to leave it here today, my lovelies. And as I always say, thank you so much for watching, supporting. Always remember to save your game. Like, comment, share, and subscribe, and come back because you know I love it when you do. And until the next one, bye, lovelies.